Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Word Bible Study. As we go through the book of Proverbs, we're going to jump right into Proverbs chapter 2. And again, the first part of this Proverbs, before he starts actually using, forgive my lack of whatever, but spitting out Proverbs, okay? Before he starts doing that, he's really talking about the value of wisdom now. This is what wisdom is, how valuable it is for you to want it, to seek it, ask for it, beg for it. And of course, to cry out again, and then to contrast that with foolishness. Now, as I said, every single human being, every single one, can certainly say, here's our wisdom side, here's our foolish side. Like I say, I wish sometimes, even if it comes down to just, I wish I hadn't said that, right? Oh man, I wish I hadn't said that. But again, wisdom and foolish, okay? All right, here we go. Proverbs chapter 2. It says, my son, if you accept my words and store up my commands within you, listen closely to wisdom and directing your heart to understanding. Furthermore, if you call out to insight and lift up your voice to understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it like hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and discover the knowledge of God. Now, it's amazing here. Like I said, these are very generic statements. And the reason why I have to stress that is because to me, God had to reach out to me when I was young to bring me to Him. Okay, I was a fool in the making, and I just thank God for His mercy. But again, so let's go on because a lot of this stuff is self-explanatory. I don't. I'm not going to comment so much on it, but verse 6: For the Lord gives wisdom. Now, write that statement right there. The Lord gives wisdom. I kind of mentioned this kind of last time when if you ask God for wisdom, in fact, the book of James tells us if you ask for wisdom, He will give it. And so the thing is asking God for wisdom, seeking God for wisdom, and then obeying it. Okay, but the Lord gives wisdom. And from His mouth comes knowledge and understanding. So right there, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. The Lord gives wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I'll say this, without God, can wisdom come without God? Earthly wisdom, yes. But think about the thinkers that would say the Big Bang Theory. And there are people now that, scientists, I don't know for sure if scientists make a declarative statement that the Big Bang Theory is a fact. They leave it up to people who listen to them. But here's my point. Why do people so gravitate to the Big Bang Theory? If they could rationalize God out of existence, that's the point. And remember, last time we said that wisdom will say, okay, if you reject me, and remember the beginning, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Right here, the Lord gives wisdom, from His mouth comes knowledge and understanding. Verse 7, He stores up success for the upright. He is the shield for those who live with integrity, so that He may guard the paths of justice and protect the ways of His loyal followers. Then you will understand righteousness, or what is right, justice, what is just, and integrity, every good path. In other words, a person who follows these things. Now, again, this is generic, so it's not like He's not saying that you're never going to have trouble. It is very possible, and I'm sure there are some of the loved ones who would say yes, but there are people who was on some of the 9/11 plane that went into the towers, the Twin Towers, that were wise and just. There were good people who lost their lives that day, and the reason why is because of evil people. So that's what I'm saying. Let's keep the balance when we read this, that this is a kind of a general statement. Verse 10, for wisdom will enter your mind, and knowledge will delight your heart. Discretion will watch over you, and understanding will guard you, rescuing you from the way of evil, from the one who says perverse things, from those who abandon the right paths to walk in the way of darkness, from those who enjoy doing evil and celebrate perversion, whose paths are crooked and whose ways are devious. It will rescue you from the forbidden woman. Now I'm going to stop for a moment to go back. Notice he says again, let me just say this. At the very least here, you can ask God for wisdom and knowledge and understanding. You can. You cannot apply this to anyone else. But you can ask God for this. And then the way of wisdom will keep you. Okay? The way of wisdom will keep you in a good path. Okay? All right. I say that because we can't always know why. And again, let's go back to what I start. In all of us, in other words, none of us keeps this perfect. That all of us has a wise side and a foolish side. Think about sometimes, like one foolish word could escalate something. My point is, but anyway, you can ask God for wisdom. And I think you can, regardless of what's going on in anybody else, you should ask God for this wisdom. Now, verse 16, it will rescue you from the forbidden woman. Now, who is the forbidden woman? Put it like this, men, it is a woman who's not your wife. Okay? So in short, it's a woman who's not your wife. The other thing would be, and he's going to get more into it, a woman that can lead you down the wrong path. A seductive woman. All right, so it will rescue you from a forbidden woman, from a stranger with her flattering talk, who abandons the companion of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God. For her house sinks down to death, and her ways to the land of departed spirits. None return who go to her. None reach the paths of life. So follow the way of good people, and keep to the paths of righteous. For the upright will inhabit the land, and those of integrity will remain in it. But the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the treacherous uprooted from it. So he's going to talk more about this adulterous woman later on. Okay. Chapter 3, verse 1. My son, don't forget my teachings, but let your heart keep my commandments, for they will bring you many days full of life and well-being. So in general, this is true. If you follow his ways, you would make the right decisions. Okay. Verse 3. Never let loyalty and faithfulness leave you. Tie them around your neck. Write them on the tablets of your heart. Then you will find favor on high, regard to the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart, and do not rely on your own understanding. Think about him in all of your ways, and he will guide you in the right path. Now, again, this is one of the, you will hear this quoted a lot if you do not quote a lot yourself. Again, and in the one, just I want to remind you, and because I'm thinking in my mind, I shouldn't probably limit my thoughts to this with respect to this, the book of Proverbs. But sometimes people, when they accuse God, And they always ask the question, how come, why? And then they would say, well, I did this. I trust in the Lord with all my heart. Yeah, but really, did you? Did you really? Remember, we all have a wise side and we always have a foolish side. When he says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and do not rely on your own understanding. I'll tell you what, how many people get in trouble by relying on their own understanding? Think about him in all your ways and he will guide you on the right path. All right? So don't consider yourself to be wise. And this, I take this to be in your own understanding. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. Now remember, he said that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So don't consider yourself to be wise. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. This will be healing for your body and strengthening for your bones. Healing for your body. God's wisdom. I'll say this. In my younger years, I wish I'd kind of been more wise with my health. And I can say years and years of eating a certain way to me produced certain things in my body now that I'm struggling and fighting with. But again, this is a very generic statement, so I don't want to just limit it to only that. My experience, my limited experience. And yet, let me just say this again. As we're reading this, you can limit this to your experience, and you can then follow this, make this for you, make this right for you. Verse 8, verse 9, honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first produce of your entire harvest. Then your barns will be completely filled and your vats will overflow with new wine. Again, a very generic statement here. I will point out that the tithing principle here is transcending the Moses law applications. Tithing itself is mentioned 500 years before the law, when Abraham tithed to King Melchizedek. The problem with tithing, and I'm not going to obviously get into tithing in this context here, but the problem with how churches have put people into tithing, you have to remember a lot of pastors manipulate the tithing principle so that they can cause guilt and fear to keep the bills paid in their churches. But the idea that the true path of tithing is honoring God, okay? Honor the Lord with your possessions and with the first produce of your entire harvest. And of course, we can apply that to our paychecks, okay? And the reason, and by the way, let me just say this: those who foolishly get into this argument of tithing from a net standpoint to, a net versus what's the other one? The net, brain freeze here. Taxes versus non-taxes. How about that? Again, proves my point that they're looking for money to pay their bills. If you're going to tithe, and if you're going to honor, if you're going to say, I want to give a tenth of my income, let it be because you are honoring God with your possessions. And then, of course, it could be to the church and things like that. It could be to almost anything. The church use it, but again, I'm not going to get into what tithing is. But here's the point: it should be, if you're going to tithe, do it because you're honoring the Lord with your possessions. Verse 11 then. Do not despise the Lord's instruction, my son, and do not loathe his discipline. For the Lord disciplines the one he loves, just as a father the son in whom he delights. Now, this term discipline here should be taken in. How does God discipline us? Is it with sometimes violence? No, but teaching, rebuke, correction. That's how the Lord disciplines us. All right. So again, let me say that again. It is through teaching, correction, and rebuke. That's how and exhortation. That's how he disciplines us. That is the main way. Now, if you get off into trouble or something, or something that cause you, that usually is a result of your own actions. Verse 13, happy is the man who finds wisdom and who acquires understanding. And how true that is. The man who finds wisdom. When wisdom is guiding you in life. When wisdom preserves you. Now, sometimes it is frustrating that you have to face adversity, but wisdom maneuvers you around in that. Happy is that man who acquires that understanding. Verse 14, for she is more profitable. Now, again, he's back on wisdom speaking here. For she is more profitable than silver, and her revenue is better than gold. She is more precious than jewels. Nothing you desire can be compared with her. Long life is in her right hand, and in her left riches and honor. Her ways are pleasant, and all of her paths are peaceful, meaning wisdom. She is the tree of life to those who embrace her, and those who hold unto her are happy. Now again, talking about wisdom. The Lord founded the earth by wisdom and established the heavens by understanding. So again, when scientists tell us that the Big Bang Theory created the earth with all of the wisdom that was involved in creating the earth, they're foolish. That's all. Remember, they're foolish. A fool has said in his heart that there is no God. He says, the Lord founded the earth by wisdom, and he established the heavens by his understanding. By his knowledge, the watery depths broke open, and the clouds dripped with their dew. Okay? So again, he'll get more into how wisdom even was God possessed wisdom. Now God is in creating us and creating creation. Even angels are endowed with wisdom to one level or the other. Notice he says right here, man, if you get wisdom, why? It's comparison. Look at God's wisdom, right? God who founded the earth by wisdom. Verse 21. And in this, by the way, in this sinful world, wisdom, golden. All right, verse 21. Maintain your confidence and discretion, my son. Don't lose sight of them. They will be life for you, an ornament for your neck. Then you will go safely on your way. Your foot will not stumble. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be pleasant. Don't fear sudden danger or the ruin of the wicked when it comes. For the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from a snare. We're going to get more into this in chapter 4 in terms of wisdom, what wisdom is, the beauty and the confidence of wisdom. Wisdom, okay? All right. Listen, like I say, there's so many applications that I could make with this, but I think in and of itself, it speaks for yourself. Let me just say this. As we are reading this, as I read this, and then as you read this, it can be true for you. So when I think about sometimes the challenges that I have in my life, and I do have them, how people will challenge you, how people will seek to destroy you. There is a foolish way of handling life, but then there's a wise way. All you gotta do is look at Jerry Springer and see foolishness. Look at reality TV and you see foolishness. Social media and you will see foolishness. But how do you do things in wisdom? Okay, we'll get into that next time. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. I'll see you in the next study.